I was encouraged to fight to recover a mandate I was convinced I got from Imo people. At that instance, I recalled the inspiring words of Henry Ford that obstacles are those frightful things you see when you take your eyes off the goal. So I soldiered on with greater determination to recover my mandate. After a thorough and painstaking search to determine what actually happened, I discovered that the conspirators inelegantly excluded the results from a total of 388 polling units, in which I got the highest number of votes from the final tally of results announced by INEC. With this startling discovery, I approached the Election Petition Tribunal sitting in Owerri to recognize the votes from the 388 polling units and add the votes to my result, and thereafter declare me the valid elected governor of Imo State. This was after getting INEC to certify the results from these polling units as the true and original copies of the results in their custody. At the tribunal, none of the counsels to either INEC or PDP could contradict the results I tendered. The votes were consequently accepted by the tribunal as exhibits of the true and original copies of the results from these 388 polling units. When the tribunal eventually moved this judgment to Abuja, many believed that this was because the incumbent governor, who was the candidate of PDP, had lost the case. That appeared to me the only logical reason to move the judgment venue from Owerri to Abuja. But the unexpected happened as the tribunal, in an unwritten judgment, affirmed his election as the governor of Imo State. Was I discouraged or deterred by this verdict? No. And this was partly because I remembered the wise counsel of Roger Crawford that being challenged is inevitable, but being defeated is optional. So I chose not to accept defeat, and I proceeded to the Court of Appeal. At the appellate court, there was a split judgment. The minority judgment, which favored me, that since the results from the 388 polling units were not contradicted, they were correct, and were therefore the original copies of the results from those units. Based on that, the minority judgment declared that I validly won the governorship elections, therefore that I should be declared. As you know, the case went all the way to Supreme Court. At the Supreme Court, the judges examined the two judgments and adopted the one that had more merit, and this was the minority judgment, which favored me. Consequently, on January 14, 2020, 7 of the justices of the Supreme Court in the panel unanimously nullified the election of the candidate of the PDP as the governor of Imo State and declared me the winner of the election held on March 9, 2023. I was declared the duly elected governor of Imo State in the 2019 elections. I was thereafter sworn in as the duly elected governor of Imo State on the 15th of January 2020. The first challenge I faced after taking the oath of office was that there was nobody to take over from. There was no handover note either. So I had to start off like a man groping in the dark without a compass. There was not even a nominal role of the state's workforce to make matters worse. The state was in a state of rancid decay. There was hardly any motorable road in the state, Worst of all, the civil service was in complete disarray following many years of neglect. The task ahead of me was by no means an easy one. At the same time, the PDP obviously unwilling to accept defeat, even when their candidate never legally won the elections in the first place, openly vowed to make the state ungovernable for me. They followed the threat by inciting a section of the public to mount pockets of protests and riots. They also tried to incite workers and pensioners against my nascent administration. As a result of all this, the first 3 months of my tenure were marked by incessant unrest in the capital city of the state. As we were grappling with these challenges, the world experienced a devastating challenge in the form of COVID-19 pandemic. Shortly after, the country experienced the crippling NSAS revolt, which also had a demoralizing effect on businesses across the country. In between these events, all hell appeared to have been let loose, as Imo State was engulfed by an unbridled degree of insecurity. Police stations were burnt at will, and law enforcement officers suddenly became targets and victims of fatal attacks. The lives of innocent citizens were lost, and people lived in palpable fear for their lives. There was such deep and universal feeling of insecurity that our people were afraid to even go to the market. The situation was confounded by the fact that the identities and motives of these murderers were not known. In truth, the challenges were daunting, but we did not give up. Instead, we chose to confront these hydra-headed problems we faced. While all this played out, I remained confident of victory because I knew that my election as the governor of Imo State was a divine mandate, which demanded of me the utmost commitment and dedication to the service of my people. To this end, having made a personal covenant with God, that since He restored my stolen mandate, that I will in turn serve Him faithfully by serving the people honestly and to the very best of my ability. So with my mandate recovered, I knew it was time for me to fulfill my own side of the covenant with God. That was why in my inaugural address, I pledged to surrender myself to the will of the people at all times and to work honestly and tirelessly for the good of the citizenry. As I already indicated, the first acid test of that my resolution, as it were, came with the COVID-19 pandemic. The virus, as you know already, had a devastating effect on virtually every aspect of human endeavor. But my prompt response to it helped to save a lot of lives. Our swift response was to empanel a committee of experts headed by no mean other person than Professor Morris Iwu. We acquired ambulances for all the local governments and built and equipped a number of world-class isolation centers where those infected were nursed back to life. In addition to that, we put in place restrictions that reduced frequent infections among the people, while palliatives measures and materials were provided for the needy. At the end of it all, Imo State was among the states that recorded fewer deaths and one of the lowest numbers of infected victims in the entire country. As I already mentioned, those who lost the 2019 election decided to unleash mayhem in the state, in keeping with their public threat to make the state ungovernable, according to them, they were looking for state of emergency. With an ungodly and unholy alliance with unknown gunmen, these vermin triggered the worst form of terrorism and banditry ever witnessed in this part of the country. These culminated in the bombing of the Owerri correctional facilities and the release of over 1,837 number of inmates with hundreds of condemned criminals. They were all released to the town. Thereafter, several police stations were destroyed. The situation got so bad that people were beheaded openly and their heads were displayed in market squares as though it was an article of trade. The climax was that the bandits opened a camp in the bushes in Osun local government area, where they were feasting on human flesh, roasting and eating fellow humans as if they were cattle. We are talking of cannibalism in the 21st century. In the warped reasoning of those who contrived this beastly acts of insecurity, they wanted to portray my government as incompetent, unpopular, and unwanted. To be honest, we faced a daunting situation, but as you know, where there is a will, there is a way. According to Winston Churchill, a pessimist sees the difficulty in every opportunity, and an optimist sees the opportunity in every difficulty. I am an unrepentant optimist. Mercifully, and to the glory of God, the table turned against them through the prompt intervention of President Muhammad Buhari, who came to our rescue, and therein the security agencies moved in to restore peace in the state. Today, Imo State is peaceful again. This is why I will continue to express my profound gratitude to the federal government, to President Muhammad Buhari, the security agencies, for what they achieved here. We also remember and we mourn and honor the gallant officers and the innocent people who lost their lives in the course of the insecurity in the state. May their souls rest in peace. It is to the glory of God that while we were battling the enormous security challenges, which would have provided enough excuse for a governor to renege in discharging his primary responsibilities, we remained tenaciously focused on our vision. While still serving as a senator, I noticed that our children were always risking their lives on the streets of Owerri with jerry cans in search of potable water. On inquiry, I was told that public water supply to Owerri ceased about 15 years ago. To say that I was shocked was an understatement. So soon after I assumed office, I mobilized contractors to fix the Owerri water works known as the Otamere Water Scheme. Today, to the glory of God, the public taps are back to Owerri, and they are back and back. I also did not hesitate to tackle the decay in the civil service. What we had as a civil service when I assumed office existed only in name. Both the institution and the workers were nowhere close to civil. And what they offered was very far from service. For all intents and purposes, the reference to Imo workforce as civil servants was not only an abuse of the terminology, but an aberration. Going by the level of decay and dilapidation in the system, the situation was so bad that the government businesses were conducted in bars and residences of those in power. Permanent secretaries had been stripped and castrated of their authority, while the general despondency among staff was palpable. Worker salaries were paid whimsically, as no worker was sure of fixed salary in any month. The payroll system was corruption personified. Salary padding and illegal promotions were the order of the day. Government generated zero tax income from pay as you earn. There was no recall of salary payments. So, with a corrupt and dysfunctional civil service, internally generated revenue had a free for all to lowest level ever. Even the preparations of payroll vouchers were outsourced to consultants who, alongside with those in power, charged the sum of 500 million naira monthly for preparing bloated payrolls. At the end of the day, Imo State was losing close to 2 billion naira monthly through shady deals and payroll fraud. I had to move in quickly to do a holistic turnaround of the civil service. Today, things have changed for good. In addition to the automation of the civil service and all payment processes, the entire secretariat has been rehabilitated. The permanent secretaries are now the chief reporting and accounting officers of their various ministries. Again, through the training and retraining of civil servants, the morale of the staff has been boosted. They not only work in a conducive environment, but now enjoy free transportation to and fro work every day. The permanent secretaries now have official cars, a situation that was non-existent before I intervened. But most importantly, workers in Imo State now receive their salaries promptly. I even paid them the 13th month salary in December 2021. As the bureaucracy started running efficiently and effectively, we started tackling the problems of roads and related infrastructure. Almost all the major roads leading to Owerri, the state capital, were impassable when I assumed office. The internal roads were even in a worse state. Before one knew what was happening, some mischievous elements started composing derogatory songs with my name, saying, "You are Ozodimma, which means good road, but no good roads can be found in Imo." And this was barely 5 months after I assumed office. I wasn't angry with anyone, since government is a continuum. But I wondered whether they didn't know those under whose watch the roads got bad in the first instance, and why they did not produce songs in their names, I asked. But that is the burden of leadership. Today, what you hear about Imo State is road revolution. Though Mr. President Muhammad Buhari, when he visited Imo, the last time he commissioned some roads, he preferred to refer to it as infrastructure revolution. At the last count, we have done more than 100 quality roads in less than 3 years. These include urban and rural roads. President Muhammad Buhari has been to Imo State for a record 2 times to commission some of the roads executed by this administration, outside the ones he commissioned virtually. It is instructive that some of the roads we fix are federal roads, especially the Owerri-Olodua carriageway and the Owerri-Okigwe road, which we consider our signature projects, given their economic importance to our people and the huge resources expended on them. We have also flagged off, and work is seriously going on Owerri-Mbise-Umuahia road. We also did the Naze-Ihiagwa Nekede-Obinze road, leading to 2 federal higher institutions of learning, namely Federal Polytechnic Nekede and the Federal University of Technology Owerri, and of course, the 34 Artillery Brigade of the Nigerian Army, Obinze. The Iwenyawu bypass and the Ebu Chukwumawa roads and the Lekunwebere and the Relief Market roads located within Owerri metropolis, also need to be mentioned because they were recovered along with tens of houses from a rampaging flood. Yes, for more than 6 years, flood completely took over those roads, and the houses and people fled from the areas. By using a novel balloon flood control technology, we recovered the roads and the houses, and ever since, the economic values of the estates in the area have vastly appreciated. The flood menace is now a thing of the past in these areas. Encouraged by these remarkable sources, we have now started a similar scheme in another part of Owerri to take care of the works layout, Amakohia, Adakwa Akuma, axis, which are also prone to heavy flooding. Our aim is to ultimately make Owerri capital city completely flood-free in the next few years. In the same manner, we have to stimulate the economy of the state, and this is the reason we are aggressively embarking upon the infrastructure revolution. A few weeks ago, contracts were awarded for the construction of 5 rural roads, 5 kilometers, in each of the 27 local government areas of the state. Upon completion, these roads will ease the movement of goods and services across the entire state. We have also flagged off the construction of Owerri Mbise Umuahia Road, which connects us to Abia State, and the Olu Mgbe Akokwa Oga Road, which leads to Anambra State. These form part of our economic blueprint for the growth and development of our state. In line with this, only a few days ago, I launched an industrial policy for the state, which is aimed at accelerating growth and all sectors of the state economy. Distinguished editors and gentlemen, my blueprint for the development of the state, which I released during my campaign, is woven around a solid foundation known as the Shared Prosperity Creed, encapsulated in reconstruction, rehabilitation, and recovery. This is a deliberate policy to get the state working again. As we are embarking on reconstruction and rehabilitation of infrastructure, we've not lost sight of the other leg of the tripod, which is recovery. In this regard, we've also recovered assets and property worth billions of naira, including a university established at a cost of almost 40 billion naira from those who built it. As we are doing that, we are also expanding the frontiers of knowledge. Apart from the university, which we've recovered, we have established another one, the University of Agriculture and Environmental Sciences. We have also been rehabilitating our secondary and primary schools. Currently, we've just signed a contract for the construction of one new primary school in each of the 305 INEC wards in Imo State. When completed, this modern facility, properly equipped with e-library, kitchen facilities, and conveniences. Since it is an established fact that health is wealth, we are paying adequate attention to the health of our citizens too. I instituted a free mobile clinic during the COVID-19 pandemic, and the purpose is for this clinic to move around the rural areas to offer free medical services to our people. We imported these mobile clinics from the United States of America, and we have 10 of them assigned to each of the federal constituencies, 10 federal constituencies in Imo State. We have also achieved accreditation for our schools of nursing at Mbise, Awomama, and Amibo. Most importantly, we have revived the Imo State University Teaching Hospital, Olu. Prior to my assumption of office as governor, the hospital was a glorified morgue. The morale of staff was at its lowest ebb as a result of backlog of salaries owed them. In addition to lack of equipment to work with, to the glory of God, we have changed the narrative. Imo State University Teaching Hospital has a new song. For the first time in 6 years, it has graduated new sets of medical doctors numbering over 300. That feat was possible. Some of these students that they graduated were there for 11 years, but were not able to graduate because they lost their accreditation. That feat was possible because we flooded the institution with state-of-the-art equipment, cleared the backlog of arrears, and gave the school a new lease of life, and recovered the lost accreditation status from Nigeria University Commission. We have similarly been meeting our financial obligations to all our state-owned tertiary institutions. Also, in line with our policy of recovery, we have resuscitated the multi-million naira palm plantation known as Adapalm. Through a public-private partnership, we are going to invest over 125 million US dollars with a multiple chain and value chain distribution of departments. The Adapalm, which was a goose that laid the golden eggs for the state previously, it was the real income earner for this state. The company, which was run down by previous administrations, was actually the mainstay of the state's economy. In terms of generation of internal revenue and offering employment, this company was there for us. But today, we thank God that the company is being recovered, and on completion of its rehabilitation, it will provide over 50,000 direct and indirect jobs in Imo State. Now the company is back on track through our efforts. It is engendering productive service, ranging from employment to marketing opportunities for owners of palm plantation. It serves now as a hub, receiving palm fruits from local people and supporting local people to plant more. Efforts are also in top gear to revive and recover the Imo Standard Shoe Factory, as well as Avoto Poultry in Avoto. The Avoto Poultry, which was at a time the largest in West Africa, built by Mbakwa administration, has been completely vandalized and run down. We are working with an Israeli company to, through PPP, recover the poultry. Our goal is to boost the economy of the state as well as offer employment to our youths. My drive to enhance trade and develop the economy of the state received a significant boost with the recent approval for the dredging of Owerri River to link it to the Atlantic Ocean. Today, I'm happy and proud to announce that the federal government has assured us that the Oguta port project that has been abandoned for years will be completed. The economic impact of this singular development will be far-reaching, since it is obvious that government alone cannot employ all our teeming youths. We also developed appropriate programs now to train them in various skills so as to empower them to become self-employed and potential employers of labor. Consequently, I created a separate ministry for that purpose. More than 18,000 youths have so far benefited from the exercise. While government has spent over 8.7 billion naira to drive this process, our young men and women who acquired different skills in that program were given the seed capital ranging from 250,000 naira and above, and over 15,000 received payment already. It is also on record that Imo State is the first state to create a Ministry of Digital Economy and E-Government. The focus here is to train our youth in different digital skills for self-employment. The first batch of training will commence next month, and it is expected that no fewer than 1,000 Imo youths will benefit from the training. We believe We believe that through digital skills alone, the government can create a minimum of 10,000 jobs annually for our youths. Just a few weeks ago, I launched the Imo Green Revolution campaign, making us the first state to do so in sub-Saharan Africa. The target is for us to buy into the opportunities created by the global efforts at combating the severe effects of climate change, with its attendant potential for the emergence of small and medium-scale enterprises, to create employment opportunities for our people, to increase internationally generated revenue while making the environment safe for everyone. In all, I'm happy that I now have a larger platform to empower our youth because that is what I have been doing all my life. I believe that the more we engage our youths in productive ventures, the less crime we have in the society. In terms of security, I'm happy that we are working in harmony and synergy with security agencies and vigilantes to keep the peace. As a matter of fact, the state has expended huge sums of money to achieve and maintain the peace which we enjoy today. In my moments of reflection, I wonder how much more we could have achieved if we did not have to face these distractions. I'm sure I'm not alone in this reflection. That is why I'm continuously appealing to instigators of violence and insecurity to embrace peace for the interest of the development of the state. I can confidently say today that Imo State is much safer today than it was when we assumed the office. This explains why very important institutions such as the Nigerian Army, the Nigerian Police, Nigerian Society of Accountants, and now your esteemed Guild of Editors have found it worthwhile to hold their annual conferences here in Imo State this year alone. Indeed, it will not be out of place to declare that Imo State has regained her lost glory as the hospitality capital of the Southeast and that we are ready for business once again. Generally, I can say that we have done marvelously very well within the available resources and in spite of the hostile environment we met on ground. Today, we are conducting all government businesses in Government House because I rebuilt the place. Before I came into office, government businesses were conducted in bush bars and guest houses. Today we hold our executive council meetings at a brand new state-of-the-art executive council chambers built by my administration. Today, members of Imo State House of Assembly have returned from exile of more than 8 years, wherein they were conducting their businesses of lawmaking in a makeshift building after the House of Assembly complex collapsed. They have returned to the hallowed chambers because I completely rebuilt it and gave them a new assembly complex with state-of-the-art communication gadgets and other facilities. Today, our state judges can proudly raise their heads high before their counterparts, our high court judges from other states, because I have provided them with SUV cars as their official vehicles. All that I have listed as our achievements are verifiable, and you can confirm them during your project tour tomorrow. However, they are not by any means exhaustive, as trying to do so will amount to detaining you here for days. Your colleague, the Honorable Commissioner for Information and Strategy, will avail you with hard and soft copies of the detailed account of our achievements. I'm personally driven by the words of Mahatma Gandhi, the great Indian sage, who charged us to be the change we want to see in the world. I thank God that in the less than 3 years that I have been in office, we have accomplished so much. I thank God that in spite of all distractions, we remained firm and focused. I thank God that even our worst critics and naysayers are beginning to concede that Imo State is far better today than it was 3 years ago. I thank God that even those who stoked the flames of insecurity in the past are slowly but steadily relenting, and peace has returned to Imo State. I thank God that after almost 3 years in office, nobody has been able to accuse me of any form of corruption, nor has anybody traced any estate anywhere which I acquired after assuming office. Yes, to the glory of God, I've stayed on course with the prayers and support of my family and the people of goodwill, and I have kept faith with my covenant with my God. So now I can look back and recite Muller's soothing words for resilience in the face of adversity. The greater the obstacle, the more glory in overcoming it. Or like Bob Marley put it, the tougher the battle, the sweeter the victory. Finally, as you can imagine, these achievements could not have been possible without the very kind support and assistance of individuals and organizations, which I refer to as our partners in progress. We have a team. I also commend my ESCO, my cabinet, my deputy governor, all political leaders that joined hands, religious leaders in Imo State, to pray to God and that showed commitment in making sure that we got to where we are. Of course, this includes some members of the fourth estate of the Rim who have been kind, objective, fair in telling our story. We owe you a debt of gratitude. On the other hand, there are also some misinformed journalists who relied on propaganda and blackmail, painting us bad to hang us as dogs. On my part, I am giving the task of governance my best shot, and I'm confident that history will be kind to me. As I conclude, let me leave you with this quote from Mother Teresa as food for thought. I can do things you cannot do. You can do things I cannot do. Together, we can do great things. I want to thank you for your kind attention. May God bless all of you once again. I wish you safe trip back to your respective homes as you go. Thank you, and may God bless you.
When Governor Hope.
Please, you may be seated. I think the governor deserves another round of applause. Please, you may sit so that we can have some interaction. There will be a mic to go around. Well, Your Excellency. Eh?
After the exit of Mbaki administration, by successive administration
Your Excellency, it's been a delight listening to you. I say it's been a great delight listening to you. Now we know, and you have challenged us to fact check tomorrow. Now we know, according to the governor, that the killings in Imo is political killing. Unknown gunmen is political. So please take note. Reporters reporting correctly. But more importantly, for me, is listening to the governor's rendition about the transformation of the civil service, first to civil service, now back to civil service. I think that's a commendable one. He also spoke about automation. You all know what automation is about. Digitization, transparency, and openness. So, fact check. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to interact more with the governor. Hold on. So if you just indicate quickly a few questions for the governor so that we don't hold him forever here. Thank you very much. We will choose. We will limit this. Your Excellency, how much time do you have for us? Okay. Let's take the first four. One there, one here. I can't see the lady's hands up. In fact, we will start with the lady. Rose Moses, start here. Start with the lady. Then you come to Ocherome, and then you go here. Thank you.
You want to answer questions? You want to ask questions? You want to ask questions?
Good afternoon, Your Excellency. My name is Rose Moses, and thank you very much for the elaborate. You can't hear me. You can't hear me. My name is Rose Moses, and I publish for an online media named Newsmat. Thank you very much for the elaborate message you've given us this afternoon. But mine is just a simple question. This morning, I passed through Owerri Mbise Road, and I'm seeing a whole lot of construction work going on there. We thank you so much because we know that it's going to bring in a better life for the people living there. But the other side of it is, we'd like to know how long that project is taking. Because what I saw on that road, so many people are going through, hard times that go with construction. So, and we're coming to Christmas period, which is next month, and we know how busy that road gets during Christmas. So how long, if you can tell us here, how long will it take for that road to be put in shape? Because right now it's causing a whole lot of hardship for people who pass through it, even though we know that at the end of the day, it's going to be good news for us. Thank you.
Please kindly make your questions very brief, please. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Your Excellency. My name is Yewande Iwoha. I'm the GM of Power FM. Now, let me start by commending you for all that you have done in this state, this wonderful state. In particular, I was interested in the issue of fraud. You said when you came in that you discovered that the payroll was overbloated, and some people were going away with about 2 billion naira monthly. And I look at it that's too much. That is huge. And I know that those who are in public office are saddled with accountability. They are custodian. So if you are there, you are just the custodian of this wealth. So if somebody could just walk away with 2 billion naira every month. So I want to ask you whether something was done about that. Is there a process of prosecution for those who did that, so that this will serve as deterrent to others? Now, secondly, I want to talk about the issue of empowerment.
Please ask your question straight away, please.
Yeah, that's where I'm going to. Empowerment. He talked about youth empowerment. And I want to ask him what he's doing about sports, because I didn't really heard much about sports. I know that sport is also another area that you can use to engage the youth. When I was in school, in secondary school, every year you have 1 hour.
Please pass the mic. Please pass the mic.
Thank you.
Your Excellency, my name is Ocherome Nana. I'm the chairman of editorial board, Vanguard Newspapers. I want to know what is happening to your efforts to recover Imo State assets from your predecessor, and what you are going to do with the many ramshackle projects that he left behind, which are very, very evident for anybody who cares to look. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Your Excellency. My name is Chuka Nnabuife. I'm the Managing Director, Chief Executive Officer of Anambra Newspapers, National Light Newspaper. Yesterday, while you were giving us a speech that I thought was the best until I had today's own, you referred to your efforts to rejuvenate the Imo newspapers, Statesman, and your efforts to bring back to frontline the Imo broadcasting organ. I didn't hear much of it in this presentation. Maybe you will use this opportunity to throw more light on what you dropped on us, which is already trending on the news. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Let me start in the reverse order. Let me start from Chuka Nnabuife, Anambra Newspapers. I earlier told you in the course of this my presentation that my list is not exhaustive, but all the achievements are contained in both soft and hard copy document that my Commissioner for Information will hand over to you people, and that you have the opportunity of going around tomorrow and be able to see that. However, the Statesman, like I told you yesterday, is on the newsstand, daily newspaper now, and we are doing our best to broaden the circulation. I think we are in Abuja now and Lagos, and gradual by gradual, you know, this thing happened, has been off the newsstand for years, and we are doing our best. You know. Then IBC has been, in fact, by this time next year, IBC will be a digital station that will be heard, not only in Imo State, but outside the Southeast Zone. Ochoro Nana. The recovery, like I told you, is one of the three cardinal platforms we are using for my administration. And the abandoned projects, before I came in, there was a commission of inquiry that looked into the contracts and project awards in the states under Okorocha administration. And they've finished and submitted their reports. We have also created an implementation plan after gazetting it. So those ones that will be done administratively, we are doing administratively. The ones that will be done by security agencies, we are taking steps. You know, one of the things I complained during the presentation is the distractions occasioned by the banditry and the insecurity. So we did not, we are not yet done with the recovery program. We are still doing it. The lands, there's already a recovery implementation committee for lands. All Imo people that their lands were taken, who have title documents originally, have returned all their lands back to them. You know, and this is one of the recommendations of in the white paper. Yeunde Iwoha, you talked of the leakages I met on ground. What I said in my speech, that there were consultants whose duty was to just prepare vouchers and the payment salary payment schedules at a cost of 500 million a month, in collusion with some insiders. And when I came, I stopped it. So it means stopping it means that automatically the 500 million has been saved, and then put together with other leakages, because there was no data. I have the most robust data center in Africa. You will go there tomorrow. I set up a data center, computerize all government businesses, and train the young men and women. I have over 400 young boys and girls working at the data center, because data is key. If you don't have data, you can't plan. If you don't have data, you can't do anything. So, we're in a modern world, so I was able to do that. Then on the youth empowerment, I told you in my report now what we have done so far and what we plan to do more, and the opportunities that will be created as a result of the various economic and business developments we are doing. So I think that will take care of our young men and women, including the stadium. I would like you, when I came, we had no stadium. But tomorrow, go to that Niyam Stadium. I'm almost 90% done with the stadium. It will be commissioned soon. All the equipments came from United States, both. It's a world-class stadium we've just done now. So it's one of the things that my document couldn't contain. So when you have the detailed document, you will see for yourself. And tomorrow, the opportunity to also eyeball to eyeball. The best form of pool is face-to-face. So you will see it for yourself when you get there. My dear sister, Rose Moses, you see, you can't eat an omelette if you don't break egg. So I thought the problem is to do the road. There's no how, no matter the type of technology or technique, any road will be done without inconveniencing people. Even overseas, once there is a sign of road construction. But our contract period is 18 months. And we started from two spots, from fire service to airport junction to Abia border boundary. And I think that is the fastest construction technique that we could afford to deploy. And that was what we deployed. So tell your people to be a little bit. When we were doing Olo Road, we received the same complaints. But now those people that say, kill him, they're the ones singing hallelujah, hallelujah. So that is how it is. It will be done, and it will be done with the best construction quality. Kremborg is a World Cup contractor, so they will not be unethical. I think they will do their job with minimal inconveniences to the road users. And that also was contained in the agreement we signed with them. I thought you should ask me, where am I getting money to do all these things? Okay. I think that's the first one. Yes, okay.
Thank you, Your Excellency. We'll take 2 more rounds.
Okay.
Batch of 3. Unless you permit, we can go on and on and on.
Okay.
Emma Agu will ask a question. Pauline Ugoraga will ask one. That man who's wearing Niger Delta cap will ask one. That's the second batch. So we start with Emma Agu. Then Pauline Ugoraga.
Yes.
The governor may be gracious enough for you to take another round of 3 after my own 3.
Thank you.
Your Excellency, the Governor of Imo State, my name is Emma Agu. I come from the state, and I'm a fellow of the Nigerian Guild of Editors. Emma Agu is my name, Your Excellency.
I know your name, and I know you.
Thank you, Your Excellency, and His Excellency, the Deputy Governor, and all other members of the High Table. Just 3 quick things. The first is to thank you for hosting editors. I have been in journalism for about 40 years, slightly more than 40 years. I'm not aware that Probably happened that I didn't know, but I don't remember that any governor here hosted editors. I'm not aware. So I'd like to thank you for according my profession that The second is, the late Awolowo said, seeing is believing. So when my colleagues and I go out tomorrow, we will see the beautiful things that you have stated. But I think that that is a very well-written speech, and I'd like to commend your team, Your Excellency. The third thing I want to talk about is about, during the business session earlier today, the issue of security at the elections was exhaustively discussed, and the representative of the National Security Advisor did a very good job, in my view. That's a personal opinion, trying to look at the linkages and the things that need to be done. Coming from this state, I know that you've done quite a lot to handle the issue of insecurity and to bring things back to some normalcy. But I'm still concerned, particularly about the Monday issue, which of course, although it is easing off, but there is, initially what we heard was that people were angry because the IPOB leader, Nnamdi Kanu, was being detained. I make this statement with every sense of responsibility because I am aware that His Excellency the President had assured the late Mbazurika Amaechi that he would allow the thing to run through the legal process and to see how he was going to release him. To the extent that both the High Court and the Court of Appeal have said release this guy. I am just wondering, is it not possible, since I'm also aware that the federal government has the power to enter nolle prosequi, and that in fact, in the recent case of ASU versus the federal government, when the High Court ruled that ASU should go back to work, and they went on appeal, they were told that they couldn't appeal until they went back to work. Is it not possible, Your Excellency, that something could be done so that we find a way of bringing down this issue here? Thank you, Your Excellency.
Okay.
Pauline Ugodaga here. Pauline Ugodaga here.
Good evening, Your Excellency. My colleagues here seated. My name is Pauline Ugodaga. I work with Dar Communications, Executive Director, News and Current Affairs. I've listened attentively to your list of achievements so far. You do say that you have others that are not contained in today's speech. But I would think that if you had done anything on women empowerment or women inclusiveness in the work that you've done so far, you should have made the first 11 of what you listed this afternoon. And I look at your entourage, and I can barely count any women. Is that indicative? Is that indicative for the administration you run? And I can barely count. There are only two. This whole place is made up of entourage. There are only two here. So that my point is, you need to be intentional. Calm down, calm down, calm down. Your Excellency, you need to be more intentional in including women in the operations that you're running. Thank you.
Incidentally, good afternoon, everybody. Your Excellency, every other protocol duly observed. My name is Omano Andy Omano. I'm the General Manager, Family Love FM Group of Radios. I have just one question for you. I listened very attentively to your presentation, and my question borders on agriculture, because agriculture, for me, I don't know, is the bedrock of whatever we are doing today. We've been in town for the past 2 days, and one thing I discover is that the cost of food here is quite at the rooftop. It's very high.
What is the administration doing in order to bring this down before you exit office? Thank you.
Good afternoon, Your Excellency. My name is Samuel Enobongakpan, General Manager, Inspiration FM in Uyo. Your Excellency, sir, some of our colleagues who came all the way from Lagos and the western part had to pass through a number of military checkpoints. At a stage, the army guys will tell them to come down from their vehicles, allow only the driver to drive past the checkpoint. Is that not humiliating? Because I'm just imagining how people in that area will feel anytime they drive past or walk past some of those military checkpoints. What are you doing in that respect, sir? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Let me start from Samuel. Samuel, the military checkpoints, we are clearing them. We are dismantling them gradually. Because what we are currently faced with here is no longer the case of a non-government, really. Those condemned criminals that were released from Owerri Correctional Center facilities, the moment they came out, they went back to what they are used to, kidnapping. They now kidnap people, they ask for ransoms, and they humiliate people. And sometimes some of them wear different types of uniforms, and they hide their guns under the seats and all that. We started doing that as a way of knowing who and who, because of the exigencies of time. But by the end of this month, there is a technology we've imported, which will be completely installed. And those manual operations will no longer be just bear with us. That's what happens to any situation that is not normal. What we saw in Imo State was completely abnormal. And we have to follow through known and unknown means to fight the battle. Thank God that it's over now. I will also, in the next Security Council meeting, discuss with the commanders on how best to trim it down before the installation of the equipment. Then Omano Andy, agriculture is key. In fact, outside infrastructure, the next sector that I took very seriously when I came is agriculture. The other part I mentioned, we have invested so much that by December this year, we'll start supplying Imo oil. All the Imo citizens that will come home for Christmas, all their palm oil needs will be supplied by the palm. And we will also move outside Imo State for marketing. Imo State is one of the pilot states that is today that has embarked on SAPZ, Special Agric Processing Zone. In fact, I speak to you only yesterday. I got an approval for the entire Ohaje Buma Ngokwala to plant cassava in collaboration with World Bank. So we are doing our best to ensure food security. And the food prices are going up instead of coming down because people are now able to bring their products to the city to sell. And we are doing so many things, including the 5 kilometer. The purpose of doing 5 kilometer roads in all the local governments is to enable local farmers bring out easily their farm produce, agri-produce, to the urban center for sale. So that is one that has to do with the local level. But globally speaking, Only last month, there was protest in Spain against high cost of food items. The same month, they had a protest in France, high cost of food. Ghana did their own last week. So it's a global issue. The issue of food security is something we must be taken seriously. Because the various policies that are meant to control and manage climate change are also limiting the farmers from cutting down so many trees and doing a lot of policies here and there. But we must help our people with farm settlements and equipment and to be able to adjust to modern way of farming. I'm very sure and confident that by the time we optimize our agri policies, there will be excess food in Imo State. We are cautious of the fact that Imo State has high traffic for purposes of tourism. And as visitors come here, they must leave with good impression. So I'm sure that Guild of Editors may wish to host again next year their conference here. When you come, prices of food will be very cheap. And now, our University of Agriculture has signed a memorandum of understanding with the university in Malaysia. They have also acquired over 7,000 hectares of land to plant different types of food items. So those are part of the things we are doing currently. So on polling, now, in fact, I'm being accused in Imo State that it's only women I'm giving job to. My chief judge is a woman. My commissioner for housing, woman. Commissioner for finance, woman. Chairman, Board of Internal Revenue, woman. Because these are women, every day. They would have all been here. Chairman, who is in charge of primary school, woman. Principal secretary, woman. Everybody, woman. So come to the question with Imago on the case of Nnamdi Kanu. I'm aware that some group of elders from this area that are talking with federal government. I don't want to delve into the matter too much because it's also sub judice. The matter is still in court. So I think we will encourage our people to continue with the effort they are making. On the Monday sit at home, there is no more Monday sit at home in Imo State. If you come here on Monday, there is no difference between Monday and other day. We go about our businesses. Apart from what we did, on its own, is causing hardship to the people. So the people have since realized that it pays them nothing sitting at home. So people have gone back to their businesses. We just encourage other states to see reason and do the same thing. Any other question? Okay. Well, two more, okay. Okay, two more, okay. Well, the governor has said two more. He granted two more. Baba Danti, you want to ask questions? I think we can have a similar session on Saturday night. Exactly. And we can talk more. Well, two more. One lady, a lady first, that lady there. And then let's hear what Steve Otuji wants to ask the governor.
Thank you. My name is Ameze Igiebo. I work for the NTA, presently in NTA Port Harcourt. Sir, I want to appeal to you to look into the federal road between Port Harcourt and Imo State. It is in a deplorable condition. I know with the relationship that you enjoy with Mr. President, that whatever money you invest in the project will be paid back to you in record time. Secondly, sir, I want to appeal to you not to treat the NTA as an orphan in your media engagements. It's obvious that NTA is not represented here, and it is not something we admire. Even the president will be glad if you engage
NTA not here?
No, sir. Thank you very much.
It's an oversight.
Last one, Steve Osuji. That's the last one. Last one.
Good evening, Your Excellency. My name is Steve Osuji. My question is about the local governments. I didn't hear you say anything about it. I remember that your immediate past predecessor was doing some projects in the local governments, and I was going to hear whether they were completed. All of us know the importance of local governments in the scheme of things in the country. We noticed that the economy of local governments got energized during that time. There were stadia being built, and there were new government secretariat, local governments were being built that time. It provided jobs, a lot of that. So we'd like to know whether those projects were continued. Thank you.
Okay, I start from Steve Osuji. Steve, if you listened to me very well, you will agree with me that there was migration, total migration from the rural areas to Owerri during the period under review because of high level of insecurity in the rural areas, to the extent that workers were not even going to work. And what happened in Imo State called for a review of priorities. So maybe those things that were priorities under the governor that gave stadium and all the rest of the things were not consistent with our program to handle COVID-19, our program to handle the NSAS, our program to manage the burning down of almost all the police stations in those local governments. The sense of insecurity that followed with it made almost all the people left to the local government. Now, in addition to what you said, Steve, when the security agencies go to local government to do operation, maybe they have seen somewhere by the market where explosives are being manufactured, and they remove the explosives, and the place is burnt down. Those people you are talking about now will be the first people to run to the media to tell the media there is wedding somewhere, they have killed people where people are wedding. They have killed people, they have burned down markets. But when you hear that an army major, a police assistant commissioner on duty, that explosive planted by these unarmed men caught them and they died, you won't hear anything from them. When my house, as the governor of Imo State, was burnt down, none of those boys, those their people, didn't speak. When Owerri Correctional Center facilities was attacked, they didn't see anything wrong with it. When police headquarters was attacked, they saw nothing wrong about it. When one of our best and brightest, Professor George Obiozo, the President General of Ohaneze House, his resident home was burnt down completely. The man shed tears came out of his eyes because he missed all his books. None of these people spoke. They only speak when one bandit has been killed or arrested. So that tells you clearly that if you really want to help us, go to these people and plead with them to toe the line of peace so that there should be peace in Imo State. Because when they were sworn in, I never confronted anybody. I went to court. And I think that is civil, and that is what democracy dictates. But this attitude of if I'm not the one, there should be no Imo State, It's very, very wrong. So that is that. Then the federal roads, Igabo. Yeah, only yesterday is the emergency. That road has been awarded to Arab contractors by Federal Ministry of Niger Delta, and they have been there for over 8 years. I have called them severally to come and complete the work. In fact, I've written to the president to authorize the Minister for Works to cancel the contract so that we can re-award it. The Owerri Olo is federal road. I did it. The Owerri Okigwe federal road. Owerri Umahe federal road. These are monies over 180 billion. That's the cost of doing those roads. And we paid. And the president has assured us that we'll be refunded. And that is also what some people are saying. Governor Imo is borrowing money. Borrow money from who? Even if we borrow money and do the road, and the president has promised he will pay us back, it's not the money we use to pay who we borrowed money from. So that is why, I'm very glad that you people are here. I want you to go around tomorrow. When we meet again in the evening, you will either be convinced or you will arrive at a conclusion and help me to plead with your colleagues who just picks news from the social media. Because the problem we're having now is the social media, more of it. Somebody will sit down, bring something that happened in Ghana, and say it's happening in Owerri now. It's happening in Owerri now. So those are not the kind of thing. And I want to use this opportunity to encourage you people to support the existence of a press council. You need to have a council. That council has a role to play. Because anything without a proper regulatory environment is not always the best. We should regulate some of these things, So I think NTA, as I speak to you, I have a retainership. And NTA is the only station that are paid for 1 year. Other stations are paid quarterly. But when the DG Yakubu was there, I paid 1 year. I renew annually. I think on this day, something must have happened. But the management of media here was not entirely mine. I think, Mr. President, this is your function, this is not state function. So if they didn't bring NTA, you won't blame me. You should ask your colleagues. What? Okay. So thank you so much. We will increase the economy of Imo, indeed the economy of Nigeria. Our prayer is for all of us, A to Z, to understand the meaning of national interest, national integration, national unity. Some of us are very old now. We're on our way out. What of our children? We must bequeath something to them. So I think by the grace of God, with proper awareness, because if you don't have the accurate information is a product of this computer, which is the best technology we use today. It's operated from two ends, output and the input. Collect material as input. It's processed before it comes out as information. Let us learn how to process our data before we use the data. I'm your friend. You are my brothers and sisters here. There is no how we can work without each other. There is no democracy anywhere in the world that will work without the media. So as important as that business is, it cannot go ahead, it cannot work, it cannot function without your support. So I ask you today, begin to support us, please, constructively.
Thank you very much. I think the governor deserves a more resounding appreciation. Thank you, Your Excellency. It's about media and partnership. It's up to you what to do with it. We have been here. We will see tomorrow. We'll fact check. If you choose to keep the relationship, I'm sure you'll profit by it. On that note, I invite the President to give the final vote of thanks. Thank you, Your Excellency.
Thank you, the chairman of this session. Your Excellency, I thank you for making it possible for me to be here this afternoon. Yesterday at the opening ceremony at Concord Hotel, you promised that today you are going to tell us what you've done. That you are going to speak today, and how you've spoken. You read out all your achievements for the past over 3 years now, and that you've done a lot. And tomorrow, we have an opportunity to go out and see some of those projects. And by the evening tomorrow, we are going to report progress. So what we see tomorrow, we are going to report. You know, thank God we are here right now. And I believe that our presence in Imo will change a lot of things. We are the gatekeepers. Now that we are here, we've already seen certain things that are ongoing. Rose said that she saw an ongoing road construction. That is a project already. You know, somebody could choose to just take a picture of a crater on the road and say the entire road is bad, not knowing that it's already being worked on. So we are here, we are going to see and report what you are going to see. But thank you once again. Yesterday, 2 of our members had a road crash at Ihiala Road, and your public intervention made it possible for them to be taken to Israeli hospital. Let me announce to all of us now that Tobe have been discharged, and they are in their hotels right now. Well, thank you so much. So, on that note, I thank you for coming once again. And tomorrow, we are going to meet again and discuss more on what we are going to say tomorrow. Thank you so much, Agobert.
Thank you, President of the Guild. Please, after the national anthem, there's going to be a photo session just outside there. So please, members of the high table here and other members of the Imo State Executive, they'll be taking the photographs, and some members of the executive of the Guild. Your Excellency, thank you very much for your time. Yes, we still have more questions to ask, but by tomorrow we will continue with that. So on this note, distinguished delegates of the 18th All Editors Conference, please may I call for the national anthem.